Hello there, Timothy, old chap. Welcome back to another episode of Tim and Tom's Film Night. I hope you've had a lovely day walking upright on those two legs of yours, just like any other typical human. But we're not here to discuss the wonders of bipedal locomotion, are we? No, today we've got something much more cinematic in store for our viewers. Now, Timothy, dear fellow, what do you think of this film? Forrest Gump, they call it. Some might say it's a slice of life, but I, for one, think it's a masterpiece. Tom Hanks? Now there's an actor who can truly bring a character to life. Don't you agree?
Oh, Thomas, dear chap, you know how I feel about your love for American cinema. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's not forget the important part, the plot. What exactly is this Forrest Gump all about anyway?
Well, Timothy, my dear old chap, Forrest Gump is a film that follows. Wait, no, I jest. Seriously, though, it's a heartwarming tale of one man's journey through life, filled with laughter, tears, and some of the most iconic moments in modern history. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you might even learn something about the Vietnam War. But that's for later. Let's not spoil the surprise, eh? Now, Timothy, old chap, I remember you said you had a rating for this film. Care to share it with our viewers?
Well, Tom, old chap, I must say that I found the film quite interesting, if you could call it that. Don't get me wrong, Tom Hanks is a fine actor, but the story itself left a lot to be desired. It felt more like a series of random events strung together rather than a cohesive plot. For those who haven't had the privilege of watching this so-called masterpiece, Forrest Gump follows the titular character played by Hanks, a simpleton with a heart of gold, as he stumbles his way through life's greatest moments, from playing football with the legendary Alabama Crimson Tide to meeting 3 USC presidents. Forrest seems to be at the center of history's most significant events. But what really irked me about this film, Thomas, is its blatant lack of realism. Sure, we all love a good underdog story, but when a character can run through a bullet storm unscathed and survive multiple decades of life-threatening adventures, it just becomes unbelievable. I'm sorry to say that Forrest Gump is one film that I would rather not revisit anytime soon. Now, Thomas, dear chap, what do you think about my humble opinion on this film? Do you agree with me, or am I simply too old and grumpy to appreciate the art of modern cinema?
Well, Timothy, old chap, you certainly have a unique perspective on things, don't you? But let's not dwell on the negatives here. Instead, I'd like to share with our viewers an interesting tidbit about the making of Forrest Gump that even the most die-hard fans might not know. You see, during production, there was a bit of a controversy surrounding the iconic Forrest Gump bench scene, where Forrest decides to simply sit down and wait for his love interest, Jenny, to return. According to legend, the original bench used in the filming was simply not movie set worthy and had to be replaced with a replica at the last minute. However, what many don't know is that this replacement bench actually became so iconic itself that it was later stolen from its original location in, Savannah, Georgia. Can you believe it? The police even had to launch an investigation, but alas, the thief remained unknown to this day. So if anyone out there happens to be in possession of a rather pricey piece of movie history, I do hope they're treating it with the respect it deserves. Now then, Timothy, dear chap, what do you make of this tidbit? Did it change your mind about Forrest Gump at all? Or are you still firmly stuck in your it's just not historically accurate perspective?
Well, Tom, I must admit that I have not had the pleasure of reading the novel upon which Forrest Gump is based. However, from my many years of human interaction involving facial expressions, I can deduce that there are bound to be some significant differences between the book and the film adaptation. For one, novels tend to delve deeper into characters' thoughts and motivations, while films often rely more on visual cues and dialogue to convey meaning. In addition, the screenplay for Forrest Gump had to undergo numerous changes to fit within the confines of a feature-length film. This process of adaptation is inevitable when translating a written work into another medium, be it removing or combining characters, altering plot points, or streamlining narrative arcs. As for specific differences between the novel and the film, I would need to read both to make an informed comparison. However, from my own experience as a fan of adaptations, I've come to expect some deviations from page to screen. After all, even the most dedicated fan of a book series often finds themselves disappointed with how their favorite characters or plot twists were portrayed on the silver screen. So, Thomas, dear chap, what do you think? Are you more inclined to pick up the original novel now that we've discussed its adaptation? Or perhaps you'd like to share your own thoughts on the process of adaptation and how it has influenced your enjoyment of certain films or series over the years?
Yes. Well, speaking of adaptations, I must say that one of my personal favorite aspects of Forrest Gump is the incredible cast they managed to assemble. Tom Hanks as Forrest himself is simply brilliant. His portrayal of a man with below-average intelligence, but an unwavering sense of kindness and loyalty is nothing short of remarkable. And, who could forget Sally Field as Forrest's childhood friend Jenny? Her transformation from a bubbly, optimistic girl to a broken, hardened woman is heart-wrenching to watch. But one aspect that often goes unnoticed is the incredible chemistry between Hanks and Gary Sinise, who plays Lieutenant Dan Taylor. Their friendship on screen feels so genuine that it's easy to forget they're just actors playing characters. And let's not forget about Mykelti Williamson as Benjamin Buford Bubba Blue. His unique accent and infectious laughter add a touch of levity to an otherwise emotionally charged film. Now, Timothy, old chap, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment of the cast's performances in Forrest Gump? Or perhaps you have some other actors or films that come to mind when discussing the art of adaptation and character portrayal?
Well, Tom, dear chap, as much as I'd love to continue our spirited debate about the merits and shortcomings of Forrest Gump, we do have a whole other topic to explore. And that is how this film has influenced not just cinema, but popular culture at large. Perhaps one of the most iconic elements from Forrest Gump is his famous catchphrase, "Life is like a box of chocolates," which has become synonymous with the unpredictability of life itself. In fact, it's so ubiquitous that people often use it to describe situations they didn't expect or things that catch them off guard. But Forrest Gump didn't only leave its mark on our language, it also had a profound impact on the portrayal of characters with disabilities in media, especially those who have physical impairments like Forrest's famous limp. The film's portrayal of such characters as multifaceted individuals who are defined by more than just their disability paved the way for future representations in shows like The Americans or movies like The Theory of Everything. Thomas, what do you think? Are there any other films or TV series that you believe were influenced by Forrest Gump's groundbreaking portrayal of characters and themes? Perhaps we could discuss how the success of this film led to a revival of the classic American road trip narrative in movies like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or Raising Arizona.
Oh, Tim, my dear old chap, you know how much I love me some good old-fashioned cinematic influences. And you're absolutely right about Forrest Gump paving the way for more nuanced and realistic portrayals of characters with disabilities in one, at least, in the form of Mr. Oh, what was his name again? You know, the British one. Anyways, I digress. So where was I? Oh, yes. The Upside is a remake of a French film called Les Intouchables, and it features another unlikely friendship between a wealthy quadriplegic and his new caretaker who happens to be a former convict. The film tackles themes of class division, redemption, and, oh, what's the word? Oh, yes, companionship. Now, moving on from our discussion about disability representation in cinema, let us not forget the impact Forrest Gump had on popularizing certain catchphrases and phrases. Life is like a box of chocolates isn't the only memorable quote from the film. Who could forget stupid is as stupid does, which has become a common saying used to describe someone who repeatedly makes poor decisions based on their own ignorance? And then there's the ever-popular Gumpism: short, simple, and often nonsensical statements that have been parodied countless times in various forms of media. So, Timothy, dear chap, do you think there are any other films or TV shows that have had a similar impact on pop culture? Perhaps we could talk about how the success of The Office led to a surge in mockumentary-style sitcoms like Parks and Recreation or Modern Family.
Well, Tom, dear chap, we've certainly covered quite a lot of ground today, eh? From Forrest Gump's origins as a novel to its successful adaptation into a Hollywood classic, we've delved deep into its impact on popular culture and how it paved the way for more nuanced portrayals of disabilities in cinema. As for my final thoughts on the film itself, while it may not be my cup of tea, I can't deny the craftsmanship that went into it, from the stellar cast to the masterful direction of Robert Zemeckis. For those who are still undecided about giving Forrest Gump a chance, I leave you with one final thought. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So why not take a leap of faith and see if this Academy Award-winning film resonates with you as it has done with countless others? And remember, folks, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share your own thoughts on Forrest Gump with us. Until next time, farewell, and may the force be with you. Wait, wrong franchise. Until next time, adieu. And remember, life is like a box of chocolates, so enjoy every delicious moment of it